We've heard about them and imagined what it would be like to be in them. The hiding places of the Maroons, the caves along the treacherous northwest coast of the island. Stories of secret caves have been handed down from generation to generation. Few claim to have seen them, and even fewer claim to have entered them. Are these caves real, or are they just legend? It's a question worth investigating.
And today, we're on a mission to find and enter what I consider personally to be the most sacred place on this island. Now, I've been told that it's a treacherous hike to the cave. The terrain is rough and the pathways are very narrow, but this is something I definitely have to do. And with a little help from our friend Bryan Updyke of Virgin Kayak, I'm sure we'll be able to reach our destination. Let's go meet him and start this adventure. Hi there, Mr. Updyke. How are you?
Good, I'm fine.
Now, I've been told that we're going to a very sacred place today. How did you go about finding this place?
Well, it was a long effort, probably about 14 years. I really found the location from kayaking from Cane Bay around the bluff, studying the shoreline, studying the rocks. One day, finding a spot, thinking to myself, if there is this cave, that's where it would be, and sure enough, that's where it ended up being. So maybe by chance or persistence, but that's how I found it.
Oh, how hard is it to get there?
It's a pretty strenuous hike. I mean, if it was easy to get there, it wouldn't have been perhaps as effective of a hiding place. But I'm sure we can do it if we get moving.
Okay, question now. Are we going to be able to get out of there once we find it?
That's no problem.
Okay.
We can certainly find our way back.
Okay, good. Then let's go.
Okay.
Again, we'll be exploring the northwest area of St. Croix. Historically, this is the area where slaves on the island fled to in an attempt to escape colonial rule centuries ago. The slaves, known as Maroons, used the rough and treacherous terrain to their advantage. 16th and 17th century accounts by European settlers describe the area as, quote, almost impassable. Although there are written accounts of the Maroons' escape to this area, there is very little archaeological evidence of their actual settlements. Some historians believe that once chased to the edge of Maroon Ridge, the Maroons jumped to their deaths, choosing to die free than to live as a slave. However, others believe that the Maroons hid in caves along the coast, where they waited for boats to transport them to Puerto Rico.
I have no doubt in my mind. And of course, I'm a person with a major passion for history. I have no doubt in my mind that it wasn't. It's not a myth. It's definitely the cave where these runaways perhaps would have used it. I have no doubt in my mind. It's very difficult to find, and looking down from the top side, you would have guessed that the slaves probably leaped off the edge into the sea, but of course they didn't do that, as you're going to find out. It is not a place you would want to take your grandmother on a hike. It's not a place that I recommend people necessarily to go and pursue. Inside the cave, it's a very claustrophobic environment. It's very black in there. You would not want to go in there and just say, well, let's go in the cave and hang out as kids or people to check it out. It's a place you would go in as a last-ditch effort and pack quite a few in there if you had to.
Now, it's been several years since Mr. Updyke has been in or even seen the cave. He's confident, however, that we'll be able to find it. But the fact that the Maroon Caves have been a secret for so long tells me this search isn't going to be easy. Hiking with us is Ivan Butcher, a longtime resident who's been searching for the caves for over 20 years. Right off the bat, you can see how rough the terrain is. We're just a few seconds into the hike and we already have to take it very slow.
As we walk this, some of this have obviously got a little bit of water on it, so watch your footing. This rock is real easy to grip.
One good thing about our pace, it allows us to take in the beautiful scenery.
This around here is some incredible shoreline.
Back on this side.
But if we are to find these caves, we need to keep it moving and we need to always remain alert.
Are we gonna go back on that side?
Either one's going to be equally.
Yeah, I think we might be going on this side here.
Guys, go that way.
Huh? I'm having a great time. This is so beautiful. Ah, boy. Good thing I took Bali all those years. Okay. All right. Okay, I think I'm kind of stuck here.
We've decided to take the search to higher grounds. With rising tides as a constant threat, we figure that the caves may have been in an area that would remain above the tide.
Is it really steep? It looks kind of steep, but...
We've been climbing for about 20 minutes, and as you can see, it's very tiring.
This is a workout, boy. How much longer? Can't take it.
I'm hoping that my stamina and tolerance for pain is at an all-time high today because these caves are proving difficult to find. And what makes this climb harder? The Christmas bush you see all over the area. Yeah, you know, the poisonous plant that can cause severe lung problems and in some cases death. Yeah, that Christmas bush.
The terrain is just really rough. The water is crashing against the rocks. I mean, it was fun though. Adventurous. I don't think if you're not brave, don't try it. But I'm enjoying it. This is my kind of stuff right here. But it's very rough. It's very hard, and the sun is coming out. So let's see how much more of this I can take.
You got to drop down around the hook and then go through the ledge. And on a bright sunny day, looking down over the top of this thing and back under the ledge, your eyes can't adjust to the darkness that the ledge creates on the back wall where there's a hole big enough for a full-size guy to crawl through on his belly.
Wow.
When you go through the hole, and my wife and others will testify, they couldn't believe when they saw me crawl through, stand up, and walk away. Getting over there right now is not going to be real easy for us. But that's where we got to go. Of course, coming off the front of that, it's pretty much straight down into the soup.
We're now about 80 feet above sea level, and so far no signs of caves anywhere. We've been hiking for over an hour, so at this point, it's time to take our search closer to sea level. The problem is, where do we go from here? No one knows.
We're soaking wet. Stop! You can't put it on TV.
Okay, so I admit, my singing isn't my best talent. That's John, one of the crew members. As you can see, everyone is having a difficult time with this adventure. Right now, these two are trying to figure out where we are. We've passed the 2-hour mark on our hike and our spirits are starting to get low.
We're going to call this face of the hill of Hams Bluff. I would say without a doubt this is what they refer to as Maroon Hole. We've got hollowing outs and all these crevices, but we haven't found the cave yet. Of course, the landscape is changed. I personally think we might have went a little high above it. We are looking for rock that is laying more flat, more in line with the horizon. This stuff is all pushed up like this. But all of this is creating caves all through this. Little cracks. You could find a number of spots up in here to hide and crawl into. The cave we're looking for is big enough easily for 10 people to go in. That's not what we're looking at right now. Could have walked right over the top of it and would have never known you just walked over the top of it. I think with the surf coming in today, it probably shot us up a little bit higher. What I'm going to suggest is we backtrack and stay low, and we'll cross our fingers that the bush hasn't grown over the opening of the cave, but we're darn tootin' close.
So we're gonna give it one more try.
So far, we've hiked all over the place. We went up, we went down, we came across. Right now we think we may have passed the cave, so we're trying to stay lower down. Hopefully we'll find it this time. I really want to find it. So I think we should be able to find it. We're going back now to look on a lower level to see if we find it. Okay?
This is absolutely beautiful. We're still in search of the caves. Off in a distance, it appears Mr. Updyke and Mr. Butcher have come across something.
It looks like it's big enough for someone to climb through. We come up close to it, but it's very slippery.
At this point, we're not sure what we're looking at. It seems somewhat like a cave, but it's very small and not as exciting as I thought it would be. It does appear to have some type of opening at the back wall. Maybe we have something here. So Mr. Updyke's gonna take a closer look for us. I should mention that the space is very dark. That's why I'm holding a light for Mr. Updyke.
We actually found the cave we came all this way to look for. Right now we're at the entrance and we're about to go in. Mr. Updyke is already in there and he's saying about 10 of us can fit in there. So we're gonna go and be adventurous and go in and shoot around so you guys can see for yourselves, okay? Come on.
And here we are in the cave.
Oh my gosh, I am so shocked right now. We are actually inside a cave, okay? And around us, Mr. Updyke, can you tell us a little bit about what characteristics this cave has that makes you really believe that it's where the Maroons may have been?
Well, I think the hole that we crawled through to get into the cave was modified by man. It's too symmetrical, it's too round. It just seems out of place for Mother Nature had to just made a nice hole big enough for a human. But I gotta say, it's easy to pass by that hole and say, oh no, there's nothing back in there. Of course, right now...
He said at first there was nothing there.
Well, at first I think we were about ready to go and give it up. But even behind us here, we have, not with a lot of room, but room enough at least one or two guys could fold up in there and hide. Again, what we're looking at as far as the cave is all of these formations coming down from the ceiling are I believe there's stalactites coming down from the top. They're dripping water.
Yes,
look at this stalagmite here on the bottom, shaped like a big old tooth. This one right here, this one here could be hundreds of years old. It takes so long for that kind of a formation with mineral deposits and so forth as it drips. We've got a lot of stuff. Here's a double one hanging from the ceiling, but it is definitely, with all characteristics, a cave. No denouncing the cave part of it. And I also wouldn't be surprised there's more through these rocks. But this one I have a hunch was a hiding place, without a doubt. It just seems, it seems like I said, that opening to come in was worked a little bit, and wouldn't want to have to hide in here very long.
I mean, you would never believe that this was behind here. Looking from the outside in, there's no clue. You have no clue. You actually have to come in to experience this. This is crazy. Okay, I can't begin to explain how amazing this is. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Once the excitement wears off, you begin to realize the historical significance of the cave. At least for those of us in the cave, it verifies the plight of the Maroons, their constant efforts to escape slavery and live as free men and women.
To coin what one of our hikers, Miss Sweeney, she said that when she came up here, it was a very spiritual experience, and I find that after all these years trying to get here, it was worth every moment. I want to thank you for that the opportunity to find this, and I'm definitely going to pass the experience on to other people in terms of an education or training. This is beautiful. And to think that the slaves came up this way without shoes and clothes. You know, we got boots and comfortable, and this wasn't easy.
That's right.
And they did it often, you know, so I would take my hat off to them.
It's hard to imagine anything on this island that will top the experience I just had. But there is something that can come close. And guess what? It's very close to where we are. For now, we say goodbye to Maroon Ridge and travel less than a quarter mile to this area. A place that literally defines the expression of when it rains, it pours. We're still in the northwest region of the island. Actually, we're just on the opposite side of Maroon Ridge. The person we're following into the brush is Dr. William Coles. You remember him, right? The fish and wildlife official that showed us the St. Croix ground lizard? Well, today, Dr. Coles is going to take us to see a few waterfalls. Okay, I know what you're thinking. St. Croix doesn't have any waterfalls, but actually it does. They're not always running, but whenever the clouds open up and produce heavy showers, we get this. This stream of water is a result of the falls, and to see the falls, we have to hike up the stream bed. Now the stream runs for about over a mile. It's a very long and slow walk to the falls. The rocks are very slippery, and there are holes throughout the stream bed that can reach 5 feet deep. Despite the long hike, the experience is great.
You can walk from one end to the other between, I'd say, 2 and 4 hours, depending on how fast you walk. On a day like today, it slows you down significantly because most of the time you're walking in the water. And so it's slippery, and it's hard to see what you're stepping in, and sometimes you'll step it in between a couple stones and twist an ankle or something like that.
About halfway through the hike, we come across this little fall. Normally, this fall doesn't run. As Dr. Cole said, it takes a significant amount of rain to produce what we are seeing. According to some local wildlife officials, there are about 6 to 7 falls on the island, ranging in height from 20 to 35 feet. Historically, these falls ran from October to March, the main rainy season for the island. But decreasing rainfall over the past decade has made what was once a constant flow a sporadic occurrence.
It's a low-head dam. I don't know what the age is or anything on it, but it's an artificial structure. So it was put in back when, this is part of a road that we're walking up. So it was put in back when we were doing agriculture in the valley here.
An interesting thing about this stream is that you can find a variety of fresh fish and shrimp in it. After about an hour and a half of walking, we finally reached the first waterfall. It's about 20 to 25 feet high, and it's actually the smallest of 3 falls in the area. It's cascading type, meaning the water runs over a rock formation. The other 2 falls in the area are more horsetail and plunge type waterfalls, meaning they have more of a free fall.
We're here at the bottom of the first waterfall, or the lowest waterfall in Caledonia Gut. You can see the waterfall in the background. This is an area that's pretty much undisturbed by human development when we get up to this point. Several waterfalls on up, where we have the sustainable farm, is part of a new program that I think the University of Georgia is working on to try and teach people about tropical forestry and agriculture.
Unfortunately, because of an injury to one of our crew members, we won't be able to hike to the other 2 falls. However, this one will do just fine.
These falls generally are not running. We've had several weeks of rainfall on and off, and in fact, just yesterday I was up here and the waterfalls had maybe a quarter of the amount of water coming down it. So the water that we had coming down today was enough to really boost the water levels not only here but throughout the rest of the island too. The thing is that most of the rain, when it hits, soaks into the soil. When the soil gets saturated with water, it can't soak any more in. That's when our streams and guts start to run more. And that's what's happened today. So we've got a lot of water coming down the waterfall today, and a lot of the other guts on the island as well. There's a lot of wildlife that uses the watershed as a whole, and that's everything from birds to our mammals and even fish. The birds, of course, can fly from pond to pond and drink. What I'm particularly interested in here is a lot of the invertebrates and the vertebrates. So we've got several different species of shrimp, we've got species of fish, at least 2, a mountain mullet and a goby, of which none of them we've really seen today because the water level's too high. Typically you'll find these fish when the water level starts to go down and it doesn't run. You'll see them in the pools. And if you're really, really patient and you're looking amongst the leaf litter in the bottom of the pools, you'll start to see the shrimp moving. And you'll see a leaf moving for no reason at all, and usually underneath that is a shrimp or a fish or something that's hiding out. So one of the things I'm interested in right now is to find out how long does it take to repopulate this stream, because it was almost completely dry just a couple weeks ago. Even a couple days ago we didn't have water flowing through it. So how long does it take for those fish to repopulate the pools and stuff? It would be a very, very interesting project.
It's been a fantastic day of discovery, from hidden caves to tropical waterfalls. It's an experience I'll always remember. And I hope that you'll always remember to cherish your home, this beautiful island, but most of all, cherish each other. We'll see you next time.